We want you to be a part of our studio audience. If you're in the Toronto area, contact us.
Our next guest has served in the Canadian North for nearly 20 years, and she has seen Canada's water challenges firsthand. Lindsay Mullins-Kuna is the Regional Coordinator for Mennonite Central Committee in Ontario. Let's welcome Lindsay to Context. Hi, Lindsay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming. You know, when I want water, I just turn on the tap. I take it completely for granted. Tell us how it is in Canada's Aboriginal communities in the North.
Well, first, let me say Wache and Bojo, which are greetings from the partners we work with in the North.
Oh,
they would have liked to be here at this taping. And they know I'm doing this taping, so it's very meaningful to them.
That water is being discussed.
That it is being discussed, and that I'm here doing it. First Nations across our country are devastated right now. There are 630 First Nations across our country. And of those, approximately 2/3 of those, or closer to 70%, are at this point at risk of not having clean water to either drink or to sanitize with.
This is what we hear about when we hear a boil water advisory.
Boil water
whether
advisory.
It's Attawapiskat or...
Exactly, and it's become a drinking water advisory actually because sometimes boiling doesn't do the trick. So sometimes it's a drinking water advisory, meaning you can't drink the water at all.
What kind of hardship does that put on families?
Families are carting water, and very interesting to listen to your last guests.
From Uganda.
From Uganda, where we think of people toting water often distances. Same thing is happening in many of the communities in the far north and some in the south of our country. And people load up with water every day at a filling station and off they go.
Lindsay, a frustration that we have as Canadians is that our expectation is that the government has given money set aside for all of our water rights as Canadians. Aboriginal communities self-govern that administration of the water. They have to. It's like each small reserve is reinventing the wheel from ground up on how they will find the water, supply the water, purify the water.
Exactly.
Why is it so difficult to get to the place of having it be clean and accessible?
First of all, there are water contamination problems in what bodies of water, lakes and rivers that are accessed for drinking and for sanitation.
In the city, I take that for granted. That's all been taken care of.
Exactly.
But each Aboriginal reserve has to reinvent the wheel.
They do.
To figure it out.
And they have a lot of, especially the northern communities, have water heading upstream. So they have industry pooling contaminants and chemicals into their water, and it's flowing into communities like Grassy Narrows where, for instance, methyl mercury is a part of their lives.
So is this a political problem then?
It's a political problem for First Nations, and it certainly should be for our government as well, for all governments in Canada.
So what is the solution?
That's a large question, Lorna. And the solution First Nations are searching to find. It's sort of relationship by relationship and community by community that it has to be worked at. Communities have a myriad of problems, differing a great deal.
And Mennonite Central Committee engages these problems two ways. You are active in government and relationships on the ground, but this has also been a spiritually motivated thing by the Mennonites through their committee. Tell us about that undertaking, where the spiritual partnership comes, where the motivation comes from. A story from an elder in Moose Factory once talked about the Trinity. He said the Trinity's in the water, Lindsay. You know, it's in the water, it's in the ice, and it's in the snow.
Look at it out there. And we were standing over a frozen river. And yes, it is in fact that Trinity. And it's a very spiritual piece for First Nations, as well as a lifeline as it is for us all. So it's that spiritual piece that brings First Nations to this problem that they're in right now.
All right, Lindsay, thank you so much for giving us a wake-up call on Canada's own water problems.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having the Mennonite Central Committee.
You're welcome. All right, well, now it's time to find out what you think. Should access to clean water be guaranteed in Canada's Charter of Rights? Yes or no? To join the conversation, send your answers by phone, email, Facebook, or Twitter. Our studio audience is taking a live vote, and we'll have those results in a moment. Coming up, how the search for water solutions changed one man's life. But first, how big is your water footprint?
If every Canadian household replaced their old water-guzzling toilets with high-efficiency ones, Canada could save 2.2 billion liters of water every day. That's 880 Olympic-sized swimming pools. And what about the t-shirt you're wearing? Did you know it took 2,700 liters of water to grow the cotton to make it? Likely in India or China. Even a simple hamburger has a hidden water footprint. Think of all the water used to make the feed for the cow. Can you believe it takes 15 bathtubs of water just for one hamburger? Wow! Bet you never thought of water like that.
Call us, email us, tweet, or Facebook us to join the conversation. We want to hear from you.